Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Opening Pathways with Tom Lenoble. I'm really excited today. I have Jorge Alvarez with EvolveIQ with me today, and we're going to have a great discussion. Jorge, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Tom. Really good to see you, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I really want to know what inspired you to start EvolveIQ.
Yeah. So, as you know, just for a little background, I've been in technology for a good number of years, around 13 years now, and I've been in financial services my whole career. So I've been really interested in technology and the newest, trends. I'm a marketer. I have a background in finance. So over the years, working with several fintech companies, including my own startup a while back, um, I've been enjoying a lot the intersection of technology and strategy. So with the advent of AI, since what was that when ChatGPT came out, and what was that, February of 2023, until now, I've been fascinated with all this technology and the applications. So at the end of last year, I decided it was a good time for me to launch a company that combined both strategy, marketing strategy, with the latest technologies, and that's how it all started.
Terrific. Sounds like an exciting company. Tell us what you got you started on this path.
Yeah. So as I was saying, um, uh, what I see over and over again, and I've seen through my career, is that technology is always amazing, and there's always a new trend, a new technology that makes your life easier and your work more effective. But it always needs the strategy piece, and this trend with AI is no different than any other. There are amazing technologies. It could be argued that kind of the biggest that we've had in the last, 30 years or whatever. Like this a really big, jump in how technology is helping us. But even at this point, with like smart technologies that can do a lot for you, strategy is still from a human, is still a very important, and even the most critical part. Like I'm sure you've seen it. There everyone doing like marketing campaigns. You get tons of emails. The good ones stand out. Doesn't matter what technology you use. If you have like a smart, a thoughtful process behind it, it works. So to me, it's again merging smart, thoughtful strategy with advanced technology, and I think that combination has been, and it's still the most powerful one, and I think that will continue to be for a time being.
Yeah, AI is really exciting. I think it's interesting to see the sort of push and pull of what's going on of people that are fully engaging it and other people that are like, oh. I think I have spoke with somebody recently that was interested in what it might do to their kids and how they would learn. I happen to believe it's going to foster a great time of creativity and empathy and leadership. There are some things that the human touch, I don't know that AI will be ever able to do, but who knows, right? What might happen with it. But it's
Yeah.
exciting for sure. What experience that you have had that really defines your approach to your style of leadership?
So again, and I think this happens to most of us that having in business for a while. You learn and learn and learn, right? And I've been learning from like amazing leaders all along, since my time at American Express, at my own startup, working with my co-founders at other great firms like Two Sigma, and I kind of tried to shape my leadership style to the things that I appreciated the most. And there are a few that had really stand out. One is um, a very collaborative style. Um, when you, or at least that happened to me when I came out of college, I was like eager and excited and had a lot of motivation. And sometimes I was like, no, we have to do it this way. And I was very excited about the thing we wanted to do. And then I started learning the importance of collaborating with other people, driving consensus and being more thoughtful and open to other opinions. And that definitely changed a lot my leadership style. So right now, although I have strong opinions in certain things, um, I rarely take decisions without listening to points of views from anyone on my team. And it doesn't have to be a senior person, can be the most junior person.
Yes.
I've learned a lot to take all opinions into consideration, and that I think that's one of the biggest things that I try to do.
Yeah, it's great when we take some information and some lead from our, especially our younger people. They've got fresh ideas and stuff. We get a little sometimes set in our ways or a little in our mindset, and it's nice to have that shifted every now and then.
100%, 100%. And, of course, experience is worth a lot, but also to your point, fresh ideas are worth a lot too, right? So that combination is what makes, a team much more powerful, right? So yeah, no, that's something that it's been very, very important for me. And the other thing I would say is try to be very compassionate with people, like listening where are people coming from, right? What are their backgrounds? What are trying to do? What are their motivations? I've worked, fortunately with people from, I would say, like all over the world, like every single continent. And it's very, very important to be like open to like, why do you communicate or interact in one or a different way? And all of it has to do with your background, right? And that enriches a team dramatically. So
Yes.
that's something that I try to carry with me everywhere I go, just kind of being open to like different styles, different opinions, different approaches, and that also like just helps a team grow in a better way.
Yeah, I want to learn something new every day.
Yes.
Yes. Tell me about an obstacle that you had to face and how you got through it.
Well, there's been obstacles throughout my life, right? Like, that's a constant. And I can tell you when we were at our startup back in what 2013, 2014. um, there was a lot of like kind of interest in what we were doing. Um, there we were kind of growing at a decent pace, but we were hitting at some point a roadblock, right? And it was like, okay, now what to do? And we were trying different things to continue growing, and it was not easy. And me as the CMO, I was like kind of trying to figure out, what's going on, and we ended up doing a little bit of pivot and moving to a different direction. And for us, being new to startup scene back then, it was hard to kind of come to an agreement on, what, it's time to kind of change directions a little bit because things are just not moving the direction we were expecting. And that's been something that stayed with me since then because now pivots are just like part of my life. Like that happens all the time, right? So being like flexible to move where the kind of the direction that life is guiding you to. It was a really really good learning from that obstacle back then.
Yeah, was there ever a time on the journey where you doubted your vision? In startup land, we get going, and sometimes where are we? Was there ever a
Oh,
time you doubted your
100%.
vision?
Yeah, 100%. Many times, right? Like, it's one good example of this is when you start working on things, you start talking to potential clients, but you don't have a product, you're not selling them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's amazing. That product looks great. Yeah, of course, I would buy it, blah blah." Then you launch and you hear crickets. Nobody buys from you. You're like, "Oh." So that kind of a change in perspective, and change, in the way you're experiencing the feedback from the outside. It's super important. But the vision actually it remained. It was just like, okay, now we learn that things are not the same what people are buying versus when people are just like giving you friendly feedback, right? So we at that point we continued with our vision, and we were able to move forward. But yeah, it was hard to just keep pushing when we had like that big shift from everything is great to well, maybe we'll buy later, or we're not buying, or whatever.
Yeah, I know. I spoke to somebody recently and they said we launched and it was crickets. And we all looked at each other and didn't know what to do. And finally somebody said, well, we got to get back to work, right? And learn from this. So
Exactly.
um, tell us, as we're on these journeys with these companies that we get in and as we grow in them and change direction, we often have some mentor that was really important in our lives or somebody that was a real influence. Who was that for you?
Yeah, no, I have a really, really good mentor. Them, I'm still like in touch with him. I'm following him in his career. So he was actually someone that was he younger than me or my same age? He was someone that was my leader here in New York at American Express. My second person that was my leader here, and was one of those people that you would see him and you're like, this guy's gonna is gonna go far. Like it was obvious we were late 20s, and it was so obvious that he was just a rocket ship. And we worked together for probably a year, and then he moved on and moved on, moved on, and right now he's like doing amazingly well. But something I learned from him, and that really stuck with me was the way he had like a laser focus on things. I would joke with him. I would tell him like he was like one of those racehorses that they have like this. I don't know how they call the thing, blocks.
Blinders. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was like that. He would start a project and he would just go, just go, like entirely focus on getting to the objective. And it was he's a person is always extremely positive. Like it's rare to see him like bringing a negative comment, or he can give you feedback, but it's always like focused on the positives. Like one of those people that cheer you up all the time, and not because he's just like being just a cheerleader for with nonsense. No, he's actually a very thoughtful person, but he's always trying to spin things towards the positive. And yeah, that he was a really really important influence in my career at that stage.
Yeah, these people are important to us along the journey. I love people when you're in a room, and it often happened to me, not often enough, but it often happened when you're in a board meeting, and um, there's one board member that when they talk, you know to listen. Sometimes they don't even speak very often, but when they ask a question or they bring something up, you know that's the time to pay attention and listen to what's being said.
100%.
I'm interested to know. Tell me about a time where you had a big challenge. There was just a big challenge on the journey and how you overcame it.
Let me think about this. Uh, of course, big challenges are always there. But uh, probably I could think of when I decided to jump on what I'm doing right now. Um, it was obvious to me that the moment was ripe for the technology, and it was right, kind of as I was mentioning right now, right at the intersection between marketing and AI. But um, the the way we've been looking at businesses before this has been very different, right? It's like software as a service, right? Or a service. But what I needed to figure out was how does this kind of fit in the ecosystem, right? Like these new technologies that are like really fluid and they are like much more abstract. versus before that you were selling, this is your software, you log in, you use it. In this case, it's a very flexible, very plastic type of technology that you can mold in many different ways, right? For me to be able to kind of create my business model and fine tune it and come up with, okay, this is the offering, and then convey that message. It was a big challenge because it took me a while to figure out what was the route, what was the position, what was the messaging, and to get to like, okay, this is it. And I think this is my vision, right? I think this is the way many businesses are going to be in the future, right? And I may be wrong, and I still so early on that I'm very likely wrong, but as conviction is always something very important for me, and I have the conviction of what I'm doing right now, and we'll see.
Yes, yes. I know that people who watch this and my guests are all interested in how each other approaches funding. You have any secrets to share about funding and what your strategy was and how it worked out?
Funding. I've been through several rounds through my startup experience, and um, I think that one thing I've seen worked over and over again is um, as in the same way that you're going to be more successful, the better you have your ICP, define your targets. Um, Same thing for funding, right? The better work you do at really understanding what VCs are interested in exactly what you're doing and that are going the same direction, the more alignment, the more likely it is that you're going to get a positive response from them. So doing like same as with like outbound marketing, right? When you do outbound marketing, those spray and pray techniques rarely work. Same for funding. Like if you go just and knock every single VC door, it's much less likely to work versus going in a very specific direction and picking your, let's say, 20 VCs that you are going after and trying to get introductions to them and all that, because um, it's more likely you're going to get a positive response because there's a good fit, right? So that's something that to me has been something that's worked well.
Yes, yes. Good words there. I'm interested to know, when companies today, we have this sometimes a tension between growing our technology and being innovative and keeping the lights on. It's we all have a P&L to manage, and yet we want to scale ahead and get the latest and greatest and develop further technology. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, that's of course that's a balance that you have to work with throughout the startup life cycle, right? So I think it depends a lot on where you are, right? Like I've seen startups that start focusing too much on sales and all that kind of on the commercial side without a product that is yet there. There's a lot of discussion about like MVPs and all that, which MVPs, of course they work, and you don't want to develop a product, fully developed product before selling it. But there's a point where the product is not even an MVP, right? So and you don't, and I've seen founders hiring a head of sales and hiring people to start like commercializing the product and not even doing like founder-led sales first, right? So I think that the balance, it has a lot to do with the stage of the company. To me, at the very beginning, there's a lot of work on just development, and of course you need feedback from prospects or early clients, right? Some maybe beta clients or alpha clients or whatever that is, right? But um, that's important, but the focus should be on development, right? Once you get past that point, once you are you have proven that your founder-led sales have worked decently and you have a repeatable business, then you can start moving more into like focusing more on the sales side, right? But to me, it's all like on stages, right? Beginning very much product focused, then you can start moving once you have that kind of almost product market fit. Maybe it's not 100%, but you're close. Then you can start focusing more on that side.
Yes, yes. It's an interesting challenge to balance all those things. That's
We will want to start selling quickly, right? That's a
yeah,
goal.
always, always.
I'm not ready.
I'm curious to know what leadership principles do you use when you're scaling your team?
Um, so to me, it again, startups are a kind of a breathing, entity, right? And living and breathing entity. So it changes a lot over time. The talent you need at the very beginning and the talent you need later on is very different, right? So focusing on people that are super versatile, that are like gritty, are trying to do everything and you try to be successful, I think you have to do that at the very beginning, right? Like that's the only way you're going to get to the next level. But you need to be smart enough as a leader to either help them transition into the next stage once you get to it. Like let's say
Yes,
post Series A. Um, to start becoming more like, function focused, right? At the beginning, like I'll tell you for marketing, right? Like you have a person doing digital marketing, doing design, doing product marketing. We do everything, right? Then when you get to a certain stage, you're ready to start hiring more people. So as a leader, I think that you need to make sure that lead your team in such a way that you can start directing all that drive and all that energy into more like function specific things. And the
yes,
reality, some people adapt to it and some people don't, and that's fine. Not everyone is going to be ready or happy or good at every stage, right? So the people who are interested and are have the adaptability to move from one to the other will remain. The other ones, will find something that works, well for them. But for me, is a lot of flexibility and a lot of direction to the people who work at the company to get to the right, setup that you're looking for.
yeah. I like this perspective. I know from the companies I've been looking at people, the person that you hire in the early days is not the person often that's interested as the company grows. And I like this idea of mentoring through the process to help them transition because in the early days, as you know, when we're in those early startups, everybody knows everybody's name. We just walk over to somebody's desk. And then once this company starts growing, we're not even sure who people's names are. And we start putting processes and that what some people feel like slow us down. But the great news is some people aren't even attracted to your company until it gets that far along. But I like this idea of helping them through the process.
Yep, yep, no, 100%.
Where is Evolve IQ going to be in 5 years?
That is a great question. My vision is that we are going to become, right now, we are, I would say, a 50%, a services company, strategy company, 50% product company. The goal is that in 5 years is probably 80, 90% product company. And that will depend on a few things. One of them will be technology, right? Like right now, the way we can implement the technology allows us to do certain things to a certain degree, right? You cannot let AI or agentic AI just do the whole thing by itself. It just doesn't work that way. You need a human intervention. But the technology, as you've seen, it's growing and it's kind of moving in a pace that is just mind blowing, right? So I think in 5 years, I would say honestly, much less, much earlier than that, we should be able to rely much more on that technology and just from my perspective for Evolve IQ, it's going to be just 10% of strategy, and then the rest is going to be just technology, focus or driven.
Yes, I like when I hear people say that AI is still going to need humans. You know, we hear so much in the press that we're all not going to be needed anymore, and it just seems we'll still need a human involved at some point.
I think so. For the most part, I think that's true, unless there is an advancement that we are that happens much quicker than we're expecting, and the other people projecting that. So, but it's hard to know right now how is that going to happen. But for the time being, I think that human intervention, and particularly in certain areas where creativity is needed, where is more a strategic approach, you definitely need a human touch.
Yeah. Share with us, how do you stay inspired as a leader?
That's a good question. I always read and look at what other people are doing. I get a lot of inspiration from that, like current technology leaders, for example. You can think of like Paul Graham. I really like Paul Graham from YC Combinator. I think he's an amazing thinker, very independent thinker, and I get a lot of inspiration from what he does. Um, Even other people, right? Like I may not like every single aspect of what they do, but people like Sam Altman, of course, he's doing some amazing things. So to me, being very, very aware and in touch with what other people are doing is what drives me the most. Um, and of course, just reading different books and information that I find online. It's always very, very inspiring.
Yes. Um, I think that there is so much technology coming on the horizon. What are you seeing? What's one new trend that you see in technology that really excites you?
Uh, well, I think that right now the technology is all AI. Like I don't see. I know there are some other technologies in some other part, like space exploration. Of course, that's a big one. Renewable energy. That's another one. Uh, you know, uh, uh, Research on bio technology, also like really big. The one I'm really plugged in, of course, is artificial intelligence. That's just because what I do. And I think that's the one that actually is going to help accelerate all of the other ones. So we're seeing it already, right? But I think that's going to be like the one that is going to really mark this decade.
Yeah, wow. I think those of us that have had these experiences we've had working in startups and larger companies and gone through all these transitions and challenges, we end up with some wisdom that's important for us to share with others. And so I'd love to know what piece of advice you'd give to someone who's new and beginning on this path, thinking about maybe founding a company themselves. What piece of advice would you give them?
That's yeah. Um, the way I think of people like just getting started or funding companies is that first of all, don't try to fit into something that may not necessarily be what you are. right? Like there's a lot of talk about startups. Like right now in New York, you go to like whatever place, a bar, whatever, and everybody knows someone or is, starting a company. There's a lot of that, and that was not the case like 15 years ago. It was just not the case, right? So there's a lot of people kind of chasing that, and not everyone is necessarily a good fit, right? Or either to start a company or to work for a startup. It's a very particular environment, and it requires a very particular a set of skills, right? And even personality. Like I, for example, I like to do things by myself. Like I not just for my company, but in my personal life. If I go and I like cooking, for example, right? So if I go to a restaurant and I try a dish I really liked, I'm gonna try to make it at home. It doesn't matter how hard it is to do. Like I like to do things by myself. Um, and there are people that are amazing, executives or corporate professionals, right? And they have skills that I don't have, right? And so I guess like the kind of going back to the beginning, um, the big advice here is just don't try to fit and in places just because there are trends that seem interesting, right? Be true to yourself and do what works for you, right? Maybe you're a good finance person, maybe you're a good corporate person, maybe whatever else, right? But I would say that's very, very, very important.
Yeah, wise words, Jorge. Thank you for this engaging conversation. Today, here on Opening Pathways with Tom Lenoble, we've had Jorge Alvarez from Evolve IQ, and we'll see you again next time on Opening Pathways. Until then, take care.